Damn, are we live? Yo, are we live right now? Somebody confirm. Let's get this chat going. Just logging in here so I can see the chat. 1 second. All right, there we go. Streaming software has been connected. We are about to get started. We are live on YouTube. And I think we are good to go. Let's see this one. All right. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. Bam, baby. All right. All right, thank you everyone for joining in. Sorry for the late start. I was just getting ready with the new tools here on YouTube Live. But without further ado, let's get started. So, as I'm sure you all have heard, there has been recent news with the conflict with Iran, Israel, and the United States that is causing a lot of bearish thesis on the stock market. And with this news, there's going to be, different type of stocks to look out for versus the usual tech stocks uh, and other retail stocks basically that have been traded heavily. But we're going to dive in and see what the opportunities are looking like for this upcoming week and the next few weeks as well. And just what I think of this whole situation. So, the first thing I did want to go over is what we are in with the Discord. I want to go over our recent Microsoft play. That took a while to play out, but it did play out. And we're going to go to the daily view here. All right. All right, so Microsoft has been showing a great setup for the past 2-3 weeks. I called out 2 Microsoft long calls from I believe early February or mid February. But what I'm seeing here with Microsoft is this uh, hidden bullish divergence. You can see that the stock price has been going down, but when you look at your indicators, those are showing higher lows. So when the stock price is showing lower lows with the indicators showing higher lows, that is a hidden bullish divergence, which means that more likely than not, this stock should be reversing. And this stock actually did reverse on Tuesday of last week. So the Discord was able to, buy in on cheaper calls, and they were able to reap the benefit from those average buy-ins when Microsoft popped from 380 range all the way back up to 400 and then 408. So that was almost a $20 move that the Discord played and secured profits on. But I still see continued momentum on this to the upside. As long as Microsoft could get above 400, that thesis is still in play. But this recent news is not helping the case just because it's obviously going to give a gap down since it's going to be a lot of sellers. But when you just look at the chart, Friday's candle close was a textbook inverse hammer candle, which means more likely than not the stock price should see a jump to the upside. Another reason why I believe this is because when you look at the volume here, you could tell that the volume has been increasing for the past few days. So there is no need to be bearish. There's a smaller volume level for the red days versus the green days. These green days have been stronger than the red days. So in my opinion, I see the indicators still foreshadowing an upside on Microsoft. Again, we are also trading lower than the 200 SMA. So if we do see more selling in the coming days, this stock should be like one of the most probable stocks to pop big and fast. All right, so that is the main play that we are looking at for this week with the Discord. I just wanted to go over that just so that you guys are aware. I've been posting this play on Twitter. When I did post it on Twitter last week, the next day, that's when Microsoft started to ravage all the way back to 400 and 405. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys would have gotten in at an amazing price. And I'm also going to let the Discord know that I am live. All right. Yeah, I'm also getting notifications on all the news uh, all day, the past few days. All right, so what am I looking out for? I did create a special watch list for this video, and here you could see I created the watch list defensive / crypto. I have some AI mining, Bitcoin stocks here, but my favorite setups here. My favorite setups. I also forgot one more. Okay, so one of my I have a lot of favorite ones, but so basically, with these recent news, right? Conflict, war going on. The main thing you want to look out for is if you're in this in for the long game, don't panic sell. Okay, uh, panic selling is not the way to invest long term. If you're a long term investor, you want to be ready to buy in heavy fear markets. Okay, there's I always talk about this on my TikTok, on my Instagram, talking about how this isn't the first rodeo in bad news, right? The stock market has existed for over 100 years, and I can't imagine the bad news that existed week to week, month to month in those 100 years, right? And I don't even remember what crazy events were going on because stocks went up. We moved past those news, those events, and those who bought when there was a lot of fear in the markets were able to see that determination and belief that the stock market was going to bounce from those lows. um, so this is, I think, just another one of those situations. If there is a big gap down, continue sell off, that is just going to present buying opportunities, in my opinion. Uh, and again, does that mean to go all in as soon as Monday hits? No. But if you're going to be buying stocks at these high levels, why wouldn't you buy at these lower levels? That is the idea of buying in times of fear versus panic selling in times of fear. Okay? I know you might be hearing that everybody is selling, but since you are with the IcyTradez memo, you're not going to be panic selling, right? All right. So first stock I would do want to go over is Palantir. When I was reviewing this yesterday for my Discord team, this stock is very impressive, very impressive. So right off the bat, I saw the same setup as Microsoft. MACD is starting to curl up. You can see the crossover here. Williams percent range is ticking up as well, and RSI is coming off of oversold levels and trending back up. So that's just the indicators. But when you see the actual chart, that's when we get to see the actual potential and just beautiful setup that exists here. So Palantir, like another reason why this is a great stock to look into these coming weeks is because it is um it's a software company, like it's a tech company, but it's associated with the government. Okay, so this one should be seeing heavy buying volume with these recent news. All right. So when I was looking at this in the weekly time frame, right? What do we see here? And it was so perfect. Palantir has bounced off the previous resistance zone. These this level, when a previous resistance level turns into a support level, that is one of the most powerful reversals that exists, in my opinion, because it's just like a simple strategy. And I wish I noticed this chart more earlier, but you can see how the stock first rejected this level on 2025 1 year ago. Crazy. So 1 year ago, it touched the all-time highs, I think, of 124, but it then rejected and came back down, consolidated, and then broke through, which is awesome, right? But now, Palantir has been on the downtrend. It reached that same level again, which doesn't have that many touches, but you can see the strong momentum that it shows here to the upside. And this is what's amazing. So on the weekly time frame, this stock is showing a big push that it's very possible to 160 at the very least. Not only do you have a inverse hammer candle printed right above this level, but you have another candle that is a regular hammer candle printed higher than the previous weekly candle. Okay, so you have two very bullish weekly candles. One is an inverse hammer candle, the other is a hammer candle. This combo is all you really want to see if you're going to be buying in here, and betting on calls. And I will definitely be looking into those for these next 2-3 weeks. Um, I am. Oh yeah, so that's the weekly, and then we have the daily here. We have the daily here. We obviously went over the indicators, but this here is another strategy that I used. This is the anchored volume profile, which means it shows me how much a volume exists at certain price levels. Okay, so we have Palantir here right at 136. This means that there's going to be heavy volume, which means most likely than not, people are buying, and the stock price should react at this level. So this is the cool part about this tool. Whenever you see these large volume profiles on a certain price level, and then you see this very small gap in between, that means that most likely than not, this stock is going to have very little resistance on its way to this level up here, which is above 160. Why? Because that just means that there's very little sellers or buyers as well. That's going to kind of slow this movement down, right? You can see how when Palantir broke under this level, it shot down pretty quickly because there wasn't that many like checkpoints for the stock to hit, stop, and consolidate before going lower. So that's basically how this tool is very it could be used very effectively on calls, puts, buying long-term plays, or just trying to think about how a stock price should be moving in the coming weeks or days. All right, so that was the first one. I wanted to go over that one for sure. Up next, I have Lockheed Martin Corporation, ticker symbol LMT. And this one I want to go over because it is another uh, heavily traded stock during these type of news that's going on right now. Why? Well, they are I believe they are a missile production company, but they also focus on aerospace defense. So let's go over it here. Okay, it looks like they actually make the, yeah, aerospace. So they make the F-35s, which is incredible, incredible business. All right, so this I did already have this charted for my Discord that I posted yesterday, and this one is also, it's very impressive because the move already happened. The move did already happen. This is how you would be able to catch another style of reversal. But when you look at the weekly candle time frame, and by the way, whenever the daily time frame charts don't look as pretty as the weekly candle charts, that's when I'm going to uh, use the weekly time frame versus the daily, because this just doesn't look pretty. I wasn't able to really catch any type of pattern, but when I go to the weekly time frame, then I'm able to see, okay, this was the left shoulder. You can see this was the first low. The head went lower, so that was a lower low, but then you could see a higher low. So I was like, okay, this looks like a head and shoulders, but inverse head and shoulders. So I was able to use the tool here on trading view. You can see this rounded bottom, rounded bottom, rounded bottom. So more likely than not, this stock is going to break out, and sure enough, Lockheed Martin broke out from the 511 all the way up to the highs. And this stock, when we dive in now, let's dive in now. And you might be thinking, hey Isaac, what's the point of charting this pattern if it was already like 1 year ago? Well, doing this is going to help you catch the next pattern live, right? If you don't, this is called back testing. You're trying to get better at catching patterns. You want to get better at recognizing possible moves before it happens. And the way you do that is by going back to the charts, seeing how you missed it, and making yourself aware of what it looks like for the next time. All right, so on the weekly time frame, there wasn't actually anything crazy pointing out to me because it wasn't like an inside weekly candle. I didn't see any type of setup besides obviously that it's trading at probably all-time highs. So when you go back to the daily time frame, now we could see something nice. Now we could see Lockheed Martin could be actually trading in a bull flag like that. Look at that. There we go. I like that. Okay, so this here on the daily time frame is a bull flag. I'm pretty sure these stocks are going to be gapping up because of the news. But the way that you would be able to play this is, first of all, you have all-time highs here, and you have this bull flag, right? If LMT hasn't broken out of all-time highs, I would be betting on calls for this bull flag breakout and a push past all-time highs, right? So that would be the setup for Lockheed Martin, in my opinion. Another thing that another type of companies or stock that you want to look out for during these type of news and events are oil companies. But for this specific situation, oil companies are going to be benefiting a lot because recent news that just came out is that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed. I'm not sure to what extent it's going to be closed, but just from that announcement, this tells you that oil prices are going to be shooting high up because this Strait of Hormuz, I think it holds 20% of of the oil being uh, that was being produced and exported. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a master of history, but something along those lines is obviously going to affect oil prices. And what does that mean? Oil companies are going to benefit from that. All right. Here we go. There we go. All right. So let's see. We could take this off. We could take that off. Okay. Nice. All right. So we are on a daily time frame here on XOM ticker symbol, aka ExxonMobil. We all know this company. One of the most popular oil companies. So more likely than not, this company is going to be on fire for the next few weeks, and it's already been on fire because this news event it isn't like something new. It's been ongoing for the past few years. So you can see that the news has already been affecting the stock price of the stock. Excuse me. So, all right. So on the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, you can see that I was able to catch this wedge pattern. But the bad news is that this stock already broke out from its wedge. But that doesn't mean there's no further opportunity, because more likely than not, this stock has or will gap up for tomorrow because of the news. And here's something amazing that I'm going to share with you all. Is this is how you could catch a breakout and know that this breakout is a high confidence breakout or a low confidence breakout. And what do I mean by that? There's a lot of breakouts, right, that happen in stocks. And then you'll see that, oh, this thing broke out, but then quickly broke back down. It faked you out, or AKA rug pull. That's what a rug pull is. People FOMO by this breakout, but then it loses that stock price and that breakout energy. So the way that you avoid FOMOing is this way right here. You want to look at the volume of each candle. That's going to show you how backed up each move was. So you want when you see the stock you're looking at move, you want to make sure that that stock is moving with confidence, with buyers coming in if it's going to the upside, or else that means that it has very low chances of continuing that move up. For example, let's say you're pushing a car up the hill. If you have 100 of the strongest people in the world pushing that car, it's going to keep going up, right? But let's say you have 100 of so strength and conditioned people pushing that car up the hill. What do you think is going to happen? People are going to get tired. The car is going to go up, but then it's going to come back down because everybody lost their energy, right? The way that you see that in the chart wise is looking at this at the volume candles. You want to make sure that you want to make sure that the move you're expecting your stock to make is being supported by heavy volume like this right here. Heavy volume. The bigger the volume candles, that means that there's more more backup, more confidence in those moves. Right? Where's my drawing tool? Oh, there it is. So first of all, I could tell that this is a heavy volume bar, which means there's a lot of buyers supporting this move that just happened. That is the most perfect breakout combo that you want to see to confirm that the move is legit, in other words. Boom. So you see this breakout candle supported with this heavy volume candle. That is good news. More likely than not, this stock is going to keep going up. But here's another thing. Whenever we are looking at breakouts, another clue that tells you whether this move is high confidence or low confidence is this here. Whenever you see a stock going down or consolidating inside your wedge or whatever pattern you have, whenever the stock volume candles are getting lower and lower and smaller, and then there's a breakout with this heavy volume bar, that's a solid breakout right there. Because that's how you know that the move down is low confidence, which means there's not that many sellers and the sellers are getting exhausted. Once the sellers get exhausted and then there's a shoot of buyers, that is a high confidence play and set up for continued upside. So XOM, I do see this pushing easily past 155, going easily to 170. But I got you with something. Let me tell you guys something. I'm gonna put you on so much game right now for free. Thank you for watching the YouTube live, by the way. All right, so let's say this stock doesn't have, or let's say any stock is at all-time highs, right? Whenever stocks are at all-time highs, it is very difficult to predict what's the next level is going to react to. When is it going to reject and bounce back? So since you don't have any existing levels to chart out on your trading view chart and see, setting targets, a tool that I use is called a trend-based Fibonacci extension. Fibonacci extension tools are used to map out possible targets for the stock since it's already at all-time highs. So when you use the trend-based Fibonacci extension, you want to use the previous bounce zone of the stock to its highest all-time high stock price, and back down to its most recent lower trend line, right? So for example, so I see here easily that this stock reacted heavily to this level 118. So I'm going to go from here, draw the line back up to the highs of 156, and then from here I'm going to, you could use either this a bottom right here of the wedge pattern, or this bottom. I'm actually gonna use this bottom just because it follows the all-time highest level. All right. So the cool part about this is now you see what your possible targets are. It tells you that 170 is possible, 165 is possible, 160 is possible, and 155 obviously. And there's also more targets to the top. But here's the thing. If you review Fibonacci extensions, Fibonacci retracement tools, you would know the power of 0.618. So the 0.618 level is one of the most common or most magnetic, they say, level using this Fibonacci extension, which means more likely than not, the stock price should reach that level before it reacts to other levels. Don't ask me why. It's a mathematical. It's a whole mathematical equation, right? So for me, in my opinion, I would be looking out for this level to either sell my calls or check the chart again to map out new levels, or see what I'm seeing, whether it's going to keep going up, break down, or consolidate. So I thought that was cool. Awesome. So we went over ExxonMobil, Lockheed Martin, Palantir, and I was able to show you guys several key strategies. All right, so let's go over now some questions from the Discord. Let's get it. All right, so Bull of Wall Street just asked me thoughts on puts against airline stocks. Thoughts on puts against airline stocks, UAL. Okay, let's see. So that's interesting. That's a good idea. Airline stocks might be suffering in these events, because most recent news came out that I think Dubai, UAE, was closing off the airports. I saw some people I follow on Instagram saying that their flight got canceled. So obviously that's going to affect airline companies. So let's see. Let's go to UAL. All right. Okay, you can see a breakdown actually already happening. No way. This is all-time highs. This is all-time highs. UAL. What are they doing? They're on all-time highs. That's crazy. Okay, so looking at this, I like how this stock does react to some patterns here. You got a bull flag here. You could see a bull flag there. You see bull flag here, bull flag there, big bull flag there, you could say. Okay. So on a weekly time frame, just to make it cleaner before I dive into the daily time frame, let's see. I see. Okay, I don't really see anything crazy, but actually, you could see here how this was a previous inside weekly candle close, and the way that this stock ended up breaking out was to the downside, which means more likely than not, downside is going to follow. And here's the bad news on this stock right here. What do you notice on the volume candles, and what do you notice on the weekly candle that just closed? So this weekly candle that just closed is very bearish. It is a uh, hammer candle, but to the downside. It closed lower than how it opened, so that is not a healthy. Is not a bullish inverse hammer candle, like it was for Palantir. And you could see how in this case the volume was going down and going down, and it broke out with this bearish volume in the most recent weekly candle close, which means I do expect this to actually break down much lower. And let's go ahead and see how we can use the anchored volume profile, right? Which is my one of my favorite tools. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this on a stock price level where the stock reacted strongly to, which is right here. Okay, and we are in the weekly time frame. This anchored volume profile usually works best with the daily time frame. So let's go ahead and see if this is cleaner. And I'm going to remove that. I'm going to use this level instead. November 2025. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Oof. All right, so that's not good news. Obviously, there's heavy volume in the higher prices rather than the lower prices, which means if this stock continues to drop, it does have potential to move down fast back to high 80s or low 90s. But whenever you see that situation, it's always good to try to go even lower to see what the possible roadblocks are. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it looks. It makes it a little complicated when the anchored volume profile looks like this. It's very hard to say like how fast the move will be. So in this case, I'm not going to pay too much attention to the anchored volume profile for that reason. But let's see. Now we're on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, it's interesting how now I could maybe see a bull flag, but I wouldn't bet on the bull flag right now. You can see this bull flag. Bull flag. I mean, this bull flag could be invalidated right away come Monday. So it's not that the bull flag isn't true or it's not real. It's just the fact that if the bull flag gets invalidated, that is bearish, and this could very well test lower levels. So how about we find out strong lower levels here. All right. So UAL, I still don't know how this thing is at all-time highs, but congrats. All right, so we have UAL testing this lower level. Awesome. What else here? This here obviously is 100% a strong level because you can see 1 touch, 2 touch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish. 8 touches. That is an impressive amount of touches. So, oh, and I would probably say here too. All right, perfect. All right, so not bad. UAL my thesis here is bearish for Bull of Wall Street. Thoughts on those puts? I do think puts are a good idea. You just want to look out for these levels because it just looked like all these levels had heavy volume, so just be careful with that. Um, oh wow, this is cool. On the weekly time frame, you can see how this candle was a crazy foreshadow to this downside. And look at that, it was in February 2025. Nice. All right. Well, that was UAL. Okay. Uh, I would probably be most interested in, probably getting 90 target puts for the week or further out expiration. I could see that being the quick first target for the downside. Other than that, I don't really trade airline stocks, but I'd be interested in this one for sure. Oh, here's one more thing. So we did go over defensive stocks. We went over Palantir, um, UAL airline. I did want to go over or share at least with you guys another way of investing during these times. So let's say you're not sure what to choose from the defensive stocks that we went over. Another common strategy is just going straight to the ETF. That way you reap the benefit of all the companies in that sector. This ETF is probably going to contain Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Palantir, Raytheon Company, RTX. What else? Northrop Grumman, NOC ticker symbol. So all those are pretty much the combined momentum from those stocks is going to affect ITA. That is the ticker symbol for the aerospace and defense ETF. The same way that people invest in SPY because it goes up in the long run, that's the way that this ETF works as well. So, all right. I think I think that should do it here. All right. Let's see. All right, guys. Looks like we had 6 viewers on this live stream. Awesome. All right. I hope you guys had a great time joining me here, going over the possible moves, possible plays for the week. Again, give the charts time to react to the news. There's always going to be the panic sellers, panic buyers. So just let the news settle in. I hope this conflict ends sooner than later, obviously. So hopefully we could all have a great week. And thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for watching the video if you guys made it out to the end. And as always, if you want to join the Discord, it is free for all. Just comment down below. I will DM you the link. I will also paste it down here below. And as always, check out the TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. I'm posting plays and chart updates throughout the week. So just make sure to look out for that if you want to stay updated with the stock market. But the best community for this is going to be in the IcyTradez Discord. All right. And with that being said, have a great weekend. Enjoy your Sunday, and let's get going once again tomorrow morning. So, peace out, baby.